Hello everybody, Reggie Time here, playing what feels like my first live play video in such a long time for my YouTube channel. I've been really busy of late with work, with some poker stuff, just with grinding hard because I've been in tons of good games on Sky lately. Been doing really well, been making plenty of money, but typically they get me grinding the games when the wife's been up around because it's kind of a different schedule with it being mostly UK players. I had to slightly adjust my schedule, so it's not as easy to make videos because when the wife's around, obviously she don't want to be turning off whatever crap she's watching on TV and shut up just so I can make a video. So yeah, the video making's gone slightly down the kibosh at the moment, but I'm more than compensated by the fact that she's been playing really good games and been padding my bankroll out really quite nicely. But yeah, I'm now making this. It's 20 to 2 in the morning, and I'm on a bit of I overslept during after the horse racing this afternoon. I slept when I didn't want to sleep, and it's kind of made me be awake at a time when I don't really want to be awake, but I am. And there's a few games running on Sky. Not many of the games I usually play in. I try and play more in 30 and 40 NL games and 50 NL rather than 20 and 30, but we are pretty much at the time of night where 20 and 30 is mostly what's going. He's overlimped, he just randomly shoved. We could have the best hand, but if he's going to be doing that with any kind of regularity, we're probably going to find a better spot against him quite soon, I would guess. Don't really want to just call with ace jack the first time he does it, even though I suspect it's probably not a super strong hand he's doing it with. I'd rather see him do it a few more times first, or at least a couple of times before I start making any really light calls. With it being like playing 4 tables and it being quite quick, I'm not going to talk about every hand I'm playing. If something unusual comes up, like firing a third barrel, we'll start talking about it. Start talking about the kind of hands that we're trying to get calls from here, which is basically Jack X. So we're just going to make a small bet just to make sure Jack X can call. But if there's anything going on that's just like pretty standard, like just random C bets or what have you, or random isolation raises, I'm not going to be able to talk about them all. But hopefully, like I said, hopefully I'll be able to talk about the things that don't happen as often, like I don't know, check raising if I'm going to check raise somebody, or if I'm going to 3 bet somebody, or if I'm going to triple barrel, the kind of things that we don't do as often that warrant a bit more like attention. I'll certainly do my best to talk about them. Wubble donk sets all the time and donk strong hands, so he's going to fall to wubble. I mean, on that board texture, I don't think he's going to be donking like 5x or 7x, but you can have like pocket 8s, pocket 9s, that type of thing, and I'm just happy to fold to the donk. We used to have like, whatever it was, queen high, was it, something like that? If he is bluffing, so what? It's not going to kill me to fold queen high. So, why Sky, by the way? Um, for those of you who follow my posts on Reddit and listen to the podcasts and things that I make, I just finished this 10-2 first. It's going to be way too thin to bet this river, so just going to check and hope he's somehow just called it an 8 or a diamond draw or something. And he had 6-5, which good for us, we win the pot. Yeah, why Sky? I don't want to go over all ground too much that I've covered in podcasts and covered in other situations, in other places, but um, game quality. That is the one and only reason I want Sky. As you can see, the software isn't great. It's a little bit clunky. It's just not slick. But the game quality is phenomenal on here, particularly at these limits. It gets a little bit tougher at 50L. There's no denying that. Well, 20L, 30L, it's like stepping back in time. Not in terms of the regulars. The regulars are really good. It's just there's like lots of people gambling. There's just gamblers. It's a gambler's site. There's a casino attached to it, which most sites have these days. But it's also attached to like a prominent UK sports betting company, and also they have a spot twice a week on the Sky Sports UK sports channel. All these things add up to attracting some less proficient players, which is kind of what I look for. I get criticised for it. I get told I'm a bad player, etc., etc. But for me, you judge a poker player by how much money he's making, not by how many hands per hour he can play and still not lose. That's not an accurate judge of a poker player. An accurate judge of a poker, the overall whole poker player package for me is it starts with, is his money management sound? Is he financially sound? Then it's, does he put himself in good situations to win money? Does he game select well? Does he seat select well? And then it's a matter of, after all of that, does he actually play well? Because if you're not doing the first 3 or 4 bits right, it doesn't matter how well you play, you're going to find it hard to make money. If you've got shit bankroll management, you're going to find it hard to make money because you're going to have a downswing that's going to put you on the rail at some point, no matter how good you are. If you don't play on sites where you can regularly find games that are like really eminently beatable games, again, you have a downswing that's eventually either going to put you on the rail or sicken you. Then if you do find good games but you don't seat select correctly, then you're not going to maximise your EV. And all of those things, in my opinion, are more important than knowing whether to 4-bet, whether to 3-bet ace queen here or call it versus a regular cut-off open. And I call that just to make the point. I think knowing whether to 3-bet or call versus time for heroes here is significantly less important than making sure I'm at a table with people like Grace and people like Gary Katz and people like Bamford. That to me is much more important than knowing the finer points of whether to 3-bet or fold particular parts of your range pre-flop. There'll be some people recoiling in horror that I've said something like that, but it's just unquestionably true. It's undeniably true, irrespective of what people say. You can find somebody who plays significantly worse poker than a 25NL PokerStars Zoom regular that will make more money than a PokerStars 25NL Zoom regular if you put them in the right games, in the right seats, with a very high frequency. If I'm constantly sitting at good tables with good seats on the worst players, I'm going to have an incredibly high win rate. I'm going to have a double-figure win rate. It's just a given. And for me, that's much more important than knowing the EV of a 4-bet shove versus calling the 3-bet or something like that. It's far more important because I'm going to put myself in these situations on a daily basis, on a minute-by-minute basis, on an hour-by-hour basis, whereas some of the situations that people spend hours and hours and hours studying maybe come up once or twice in a session. So you spend an awful lot of time studying things that don't happen very often, and you don't put any thought into things that happen every single time you play, i.e. choosing tables, choosing seats. Then for me, you're getting it very, very wrong. So that's why I choose to play on Sky, because I believe it gives me more options to find games that suit my skill level and my needs. So there we go. Hopefully I haven't dragged it out too long because I don't want this video to be purely about that. I just basically want to make a video of me playing poker and just chatting to you guys. No, my poker videos are never particularly heavy on the strategy side of it. They're much more usually about opinions and opinions on situations and whether we should avoid them or whether we should put ourselves in them, etc., rather than going into really, really deep details about a hand. I think we can overlimp here, or we can isolate. I think either's absolutely fine, and I think we'll just overlimp just for a change, just to do things different, just to demonstrate that we can do things differently. And we flop a set. So this is the downside of overlimping. When we flop a set, we have a small pot to work with. It's going to be hard to build a big pot. The plus side of it is the times we miss, we just get it. We obviously it costs us far less pre-flop, and we're clearly going to raise here. There's just so much we can get value from. Flush draws, ace x, two pairs. I don't expect to get too much value from the thinker man. I think he's too good a player, but if Chris G's in here with just some like lone ace or something, it seems unlikely to me that he's going to fold too often. And hopefully we're going to get to demonstrate how we can make rather big oak trees from relatively small acorns pre-flop. Really good river. I mean, we obviously now lose to ace queen, but I mean, if he has been calling us with that hand like king queen, queen jack, something like that, I think we can get a really chunky river value bet paid off here. I mean, if he's got a flush draw, he's just obviously just going to fold, but and maybe I made that too big for him to call with an ace. I guess if I wanted to target the ace x in his range as well, I could have made it maybe like 7 or something. But still, we know we managed to limp into a pot and then get 40 big blinds in post flop with a hand that was probably, against somebody who's probably drawing dead or close to it. So yeah, overlimping. I don't always overlimp. Sometimes I will isolate. I've been more inclined to isolate with a hand like 10-9 or something like that, or Jack Queen, than I would with pocket threes. Pocket threes doesn't play that well post flop. If we don't flop a set, we're not going to have too many opportunities to get aggressive with it. Whereas if we half miss with ace, with like a 10-9 or a Queen Jack, we're going to at least have some like opportunities to semi bluff and be aggressive post flop with some equity. Whereas we just don't have that opportunity with small pairs. When they break, they're pretty much worthless. So I'm probably going to leave this table in a moment because Chris G, whereas he looks like he's maybe not a regular player, at the same time he doesn't look like he's throwing a party either. And if Chris G was a sort of player who was like in there, splashing around, playing big pots all the time, I wouldn't dream of leaving this table. Because playing short-handed with players who you think you have a significant edge over, who are also happy to put plenty of money in pots, is obviously a massively plus EV situation. But if Chris is just a sort of guy who's going to just like want to see cheap flops all the time and just see small flops, not put a lot of money in pre-flop, or not put a lot of money in post-flop without like a really strong hand, yeah, sure, we could chip away at him. But we could probably just find better tables too. So yeah, I'm not going to play heads up. It's making a video trying to play heads up. It's not really ideal. If I was just playing on my own here without making a video, I would almost certainly continue playing against Chris. We can't call this squeeze here, even though we've got a really nice playable hand. As you can see, I'm starting to time out because we're playing like heads up and what have you in a decision there. So I will be seeing out on Chris and leaving him to it. S10 might be the best hand here, but Chris hasn't shown a huge desire to get out of line so far, so whatever. Just make the fold to him and not worry too much about it. Aha, someone's coming to sit. So before I leave, Mad Tog, never heard of him. We might as well play now with three-handed, see what's going on. Never heard of Mad Tug in my life before. Let's just quickly search him in the lobby, see how many tables he's playing. Mad. Christ, I can't type. Mad Tug. 1, 2, 3. He's playing 3 tables. So it's reasonably likely he's a regular. But the table's filling, so we'll just leave it. We'll let it ride now. Oh, it looked like the table's about to fill, but someone went to sit then didn't sit again. Looks like, yeah, it's Mr. Blue White making sure he gets the best seat. I guess he just clicked like auto seat me, then saw that he had a non-regular, then sat up and then went for the better seat. So this at the minute isn't looking like it's going to be too much of a good table. We've got Chris, who's like a weak passive fish type player. We've got 2 potential regulars, so I'm going to be searching the lobby in a moment and if I can see a more attractive table, I'll probably just go and put that one up instead. 15L table, Bolly Buffalo Shiner. We might go and put the 15L table up. We've been 3-bet by. So we're definitely going to leave this table because I really can't be asked for somebody who's just going to be dicking around, dick waving like they're playing, super high stakes. I mean, who knows? Maybe he said the nuts there, but first opportunity he's had his 3-bet miss or whatever. Can't be asked for shit like that. Not when I'm on Sky. I just don't need to be having aggressive players to my left because I'm just going to be able to find better tables all the time. So I'll say goodbye to that table, and the 15L table filled. Yeah, all of a sudden that leaves us with not many options. Yeah, I just found that Masterclass 23 were at the average pot was 4 big blinds, which demonstrates quite adequately that Chris isn't the type of player who are going to be able to build lots of big pots against him and like take him down quite quickly. If you end up with a really weak passive fish, it just takes too long to take them down. You end up playing a little bit too much in rake because they might see flops, check fold, whatever, win a few, and before you know it, you've maybe played £2 or £3 in rake each, and you haven't made that much money. And it's not what I'm about. When I'm playing heads up against somebody who thinks weak, I want to be able to finish them off quite quickly. I don't want to be there just chopping them down because the rake's just too much. I just don't want to pay too much rake. Unfortunately, because of the time it is, we might just have to end up playing 3-handed for a little while, which isn't ideal. Well, it's not the end of the world either. Hopefully the rest of the tables hold up so we don't end up playing 2 tables, because that wouldn't be good. If needs be, I'll just put another bad table back in just for the sake of keeping some tables going. 14L table with 2 unknowns, so that will do. Sit there, I think. And we'll bring it in now, and we'll tile it, and all the tables will move around slightly. And the 14L table is now here at the bottom right. So everything's kind of moved around one in a anti-clockwise way. I'm not going to call here. I'm going to make another bet because I want to try and isolate Malk here. I don't really want Sophia in the pot. She calls anyway. More than a little bit disappointed, I guess. It leads out for 80. I'm very confident I still have the best hand here, but I'm not really sure what raising achieves. I mean, it's a pretty big pot, but I think we just think we've got the best hand versus Sophia, and maybe, just maybe, Sophia calls it off with worse, so I'm going to ship it in at this point. I don't think Sophia ever uses this sizing with King X, and I don't really just want such small bets to be going in when our hand could do with some protection. My read on Mr. Blue Eye, or Mr. whatever the heck he's called, Mr. Blue Pie, sorry. He's definitely a regular, Mr. Blue Pie. I don't want to give too many of my reads away because I'm assuming some people are going to play them. But my read is that he is quite straightforward. So I'm quite comfortable 3-betting versus him and just folding to a 4-bet and not having much of an issue. Pretty damn easy fold. Wobble's another regular. This is a player that I respect. Plays a lot of tables, plays a lot of poker on Sky, definitely makes money. And do I think I have an edge anyway? He's an edge on me? I don't know. Could go either way, I guess. Um, but there's just no reason to get involved with him. There's enough action to go around on Sky that I don't need to get in pissing contests with regulars. So I just pretty much avoid them most of the time. I mean, obviously, somebody gets starts if I think somebody gets really out of line. Which, to be fair, there's nobody I've really come across yet who I feel does get out of line. But yeah, if I felt somebody's getting out of line, of course I would do something about it, or at least try to do something about it. I wouldn't just let it continually happen, but it doesn't happen enough from any player for me to think I'm being significantly exploited. Am I getting exploited here and there? Possibly. Am I exploiting some other regs here and there? Probably. But I think it's a push overall. Some regulars be exploiting me, I'll be exploiting some other regulars. Not too asked about it. I'm certainly not going to start developing, really changing the way I play just to protect myself in a few situations that just don't arise often enough for me to be overly concerned about. I'm not sure if the games have been much better this week on Sky. I was kind of hoping they might be. It's for those of you watching this video in a few weeks' time, it won't mean anything to you. But it is the week of the Cheltenham Racing Festival in the UK, and with Sky being a primarily probably known for being a sports betting account, a sports betting site, I'm going to expect there's going to be more players than usual, more like weaker players than usual playing because they've got some money in their accounts due to their sports betting activities. It's been especially good this week because lots of favourites have been winning. So at the moment, the punters are definitely in front at Cheltenham. So there's going to be a better than average chance. There's going to be quite a few players who don't play poker very often with quite a bit of money in their account. They might just want to try to look at the poker tables. So hopefully, like this Grand National Week, like when the World Cup's on in the summer and people are sports betting more, I think all these things are really going to help make it a really good year on Sky. So we have the World Cup coming, we have all the horse racing festivals. I'm going to squeeze here with the King Queen. It's not something I do very often, but I think it's a good spot for it. Yeah, the thing's going to the Olympics. So it isn't a World Cup this year, the European Championships, isn't it? Sorry. And the Olympics coming up. All these things that appeal to sports bettors are going to make possibly this a really good year to be making Sky my new home. We're just not see betting this board against two people. We're just pretty much going to be done with it. Which I guess makes sense why on Sky, because the games are significantly better like on Fridays and Saturdays. I guess it does make sense that if people are like chopping their accounts up at the weekend to place football bets, horse racing bets, there's all kinds of sports bets. It does make sense that they can be the best games because people are going to be playing their winnings up. If there was, well, not everyone, but some people might come and play their winnings up if they have some winnings. I just think Sky attracts way more recreational players than other, just because of all the different things it offers. I think it's quite. They promote the casino quite heavily on the TV, so I would guess that they attract quite a few casino players too. I'm not really sure what Mr. Blue Pie is donking here. It's not something I see him doing too often, but just got ace high, so whatever. I'm going to check back here because I think I got the best hand enough of the time. We didn't continue with us, which is unfortunate, but a lot of the time I had the best hand. I just didn't feel like I needed to bluff there. So Thinkerman's isolated. Malk, don't think I'm ahead of Thinkerman, but given the fact I'm pretty confident Malk's going to call, means we can easily call with that queen 10 suited and look to try and play a decent pot against Malk if we make a marginal hand, or maybe play a big pot against Thinkerman if we make a really big hand. I didn't mean to check there with the 2-7s, so we'll ignore the fact we checked and we'll just make a raise now and hope he's got something. It would have been a bigger mistake. We would have compounded the mistake by calling there, I think. The check was definitely a mistake. I don't remember doing it. Because the flush has come in the back door, I'm less worried about it. But at the same time, it's going to be really hard to get much more value, so I'm just going to check. I'm not as worried about him having a flush because it has come in the back door. I just think it's that was a quite difficult card to try and get some more value on. So let's see what he had. Wow. He had 2 kings. So we perhaps could have got some more value versus that exact hand, but never mind. Obviously, if we know he's got 2 kings, we're not checking that river. But having said that, we're entitled to expect if someone's limping 2 kings and then calling a check raise and calling a turn bet with them, it's probably reasonable to assume that they might even value bet them on the river. So who knows? I don't know. I had 2 kings. I would have definitely bet for sure. There was not a chance I would have checked. Flopping the nuts is quite useful. We could 3-bet King Queen very easily here, but I want to play pots with Sophia and Malk, so we're going to just let Thinkerman stay in the pot. We're going to bet really small over here because there's not an awful lot that anyone can call with. We flop £2 on the bottom right table. Wow, betting a raise in front of us. This is interesting. I mean, we have to call. Oh, damn, I wanted to call there. Because I just think it's too likely that Thinkerman could be just doing that with like a pair and a flush draw. Like if he's got the ace of spades, ace king with a spade. I'm not going to fold just yet against Banny Force. That's a really good card for us. Is that for? We now beat Jacks and Queens. And this action is fast and furious. I'm going to put a small raise in here just so we can shove the river really easily. I'm probably going to lose the top left table because right now it is fast and furious. I guess if he's got us beat here, sucks for us. Wow, he does have us beat. Did not expect to see the Queen 4. But that's what you get with Sky sometimes, unfortunately. You get people calling raises with absurd hands and just outflopping us. And that is just pretty damn unfortunate because you hit what you think is a good card because, yeah, of course, when he raises the flop, he can have like 2-pair combos. But he's much more likely to have the Jack Queen than he is the Jack 4 or the Queen 4. So that is definitely unfortunate. But if I had the hand again, I wouldn't play it any differently whatsoever. It's just very frustrating when it happens. And it's even more frustrating when you are mixing your stakes. It's even more frustrating to be on the wrong end of a hand like that at the highest limit that you're playing. But shit happens, all the times you'll run bad at your lower stakes tables and you just have like the heater of all heaters at the highest stakes table, so it swings and roundabouts. Just going to keep betting here with our trips with our awful kicker. I'm not going to try and c-bet against somebody with the light blue tag when we have like no equity if we get called, because light blue means really like loose player. I don't make a habit of trying to bluff really loose players. So let's try and get a table for that top left corner if we can. Really are struggling now. There's just 2 open tables in the lobby. We'll play this one though because it's got a player on it who I have marked down as somebody who I quite like playing with. So in we go, and all the tables are going to take a little jump to the left, as they say in the song. Kind of sort of time warp, is it? Not sure if that song is particularly popular around the world, but if you are familiar with the song The Time Warp, you will have got my reference. Not in love with just calling here, but he's making it small enough where probably shouldn't fold. It's not the greatest of rivers. If he triple barrels, it probably will fold unless he makes it very, very small. Expecting to check back like worst made hands most of the time on the river. He's bet £2. Yeah, we're not going to pay him off. RTC's joined. He's a very good player. Will not be going out of my way to play pots with him. The fish I'm completely unaware of. I have no idea. He might be a very good player. He might be an absolute raging maniac. I have no clue. He's just alleviated the player I was keen to play pots with of the rest of his money. So that wasn't the ideal start to what I wanted to see at this table. So a shine that doesn't reload, there's a reasonable chance that our adventure at the Future Nod table will be a short-lived one. Depending on this character. Hearing a noise in the background, it's my cat who's no longer a kitten, but still acts like one, running around like a fucking maniac at 2:15 in the AM. Seems like a reasonable flop. I could sometimes check this A7 back, but because of the presence of the calling station, or player who I think might be a calling station, we can start betting. Being caught by Thinker Man's far from ideal. A reasonable chance he could have a better hand, but again, I'm going to bet for thin value from draws. And the shine has gone, and unfortunately the draw hits. So I can't think of many hands that Thinker Man could have that he takes that line with that we're beating right now. When he bets a river, I'm just going to give up. I'm not going to play this table. Because everything got. If we weren't already behind, he's got there. You would imagine. So such for us that we're having a little spell of not running great, but whatever. It sucks even more that tables are just dying off left and right. There's one here. It's not a great table, but we'll play it anyway, just to fill the gap. Probably only going to be playing for another 20 minutes or so. So it's not the end of the world to play a less than satisfactory table just to help finish the video. For those of you there who may have seen the cashier and thought, wow, what's this guy doing playing 15 or £600? For those of you who aren't aware, I've explained how I operate in terms of managing my money on numerous occasions. I got stung years ago on a microgaming skin where I was inexperienced, didn't know my ass to my elbow, and I had an amount of money on there which was actually a significant amount of my net worth. $3,000. It was more than I had in the bank at the time. And the skin went under and took my $3,000 with it. So now I just never keep more than around 10 to 12 buy-ins on any poker client because I just do not want to risk that happening again. So I have like a really convoluted system. I'm going to see bet here versus Benny. 2 overs and back doors. We have to call this £1, even though I don't like it. We have to call the £1. Unfortunately, we lose. Never mind. We turned a flush draw. I'm gonna just put a blocking size bet in. Sometimes he folds a better hand. Sometimes he calls with the worst draw, and we just get to set our own price. We're not going to bluff this river against somebody who we think is probably not good. And I get back to how my bankroll works in a minute. Wow, these boards are just not running out card for us, are they? I think we can still bet here for something value again. Like straight draws, some 8x and what have you. We get raised, we're just going to fold. Yep, we're just going to fold. Yeah, and it's all of a sudden it's turning against us, but whatever. We can't complain. We're in relatively good games. Things just aren't really going our way right now. Shit happens. So to get back to how the bankroll works, I very rarely keep more than 10, 12 buy-ins on a site. Especially now these days with e-wallets and things. I can withdraw from Sky and have the money in my account in literally, usually minutes in my PayPal account or whatever. So it's not like you have massive long waiting days to get your money. And if I do have to wait, I have to wait, say, the most on AAA, I have to wait 5 days to get paid. Most of the sites it's 3. So I have whatever I have in the poker clients, then I keep another around £600 in my PayPal account. And then I have a bank account that's just purely for my poker funds, which I keep maybe another £1,000 or so in. And then that's the account I withdraw from to actually pay myself. So I have an ongoing long-term deal with my wife that she keeps in mind her own business. She stays out of my poker business until there comes such a time where I have to, or I need to, take money from our current account, our joint account, in order to fund my poker. If that ever happens, i.e. I've been losing such a large amount of money that I've got no money left in my account and I have to go into the bank account, that's when I have to stop playing poker, as in the way I'm playing it now, at high volume cash games, or not high volume but regularly playing cash games, and just go and get a proper job. So yeah, you might see the £600. My current bankroll's around something I think is about 2,500 at the minute, which is more than enough for playing no higher than $15 on Sky. And when you're playing $15 games, it's not overrolled, but it's close to being overrolled. So please don't think, wow, this guy's fucking playing off some ludicrous bankroll, because anyone that knows me well, any of the people that I've worked with, any of the students I've got, they will bear testament to how I do preach how important bankroll management is. But it's also very important that you protect your money and just don't leave it all on the site if you don't need it on the site. For example, if you're playing 4 tables of Zoom at 25 and you've got $2,000 on PokerStars, with all due respect, you're an idiot, because you just don't need to have 40 buy-ins on the client itself. Yeah, you need 40, 50 buy-ins bankroll, but your money's just going to be much safer somewhere other than a poker client. So there's just no reason to have it there. Mr. Blue Man's like min-raising every single button by the looks of things. So we're going to defend pretty wide against him, but obviously we're not going to be able to do much with the 10-8 off. Backdoor flush draw and a good shot against Mad Tog. So we can start by c-betting and see what goes from there. I get the feeling he might raise. He's been quite aggro so far. I haven't played many hands with him, but he's 3-bet me twice pre-flop already. So I wouldn't have been surprised to see a raise there. My initial impression, given I don't know him from like anybody, is that he's on the aggressive side. Now whether it's going to end up being good aggressive or bad aggressive, who knows? But my initial impression is aggressive. I'm waiting to put my drink to. Oh, there it is. So had I not been making a video, the tables I would still be at right now would be this one, maybe this one. I mean, Banny's, yeah, he's looked like he's not a good player, but aside from the Queen 4, I've not seen too much that's made me think he's getting hugely out of line. This is suited, I'd probably call, but with it being unsuited, happy to just 3-bet him with it. Hopefully think one will fold, but Sophie will stay in the pot. But I probably wouldn't be playing this bottom right table because there's at least like 1, 2, 3 players on there I just know are going to be aggressive with me often enough and just make life difficult for me, and I just don't want to be playing those types of games. I'm going to see but for very thin value here against Banny. I was about where I think check calling might be better, but we'll start. We have a good shot to fall back on if he calls, and we're probably just going to fire 3 streets here. Now the Queen's come. Because if he is in with a hand like pocket 7s, pocket 8s, he might call a second barrel and just always fall to the third barrel. And I don't like trying to bluff these types of guys, but on boards where I think they can definitely call twice but have problems calling the third, I have less of a problem doing it. And he did just fold very quickly, so that one worked out. It could look a little bit spewy there, but I think once the Queen comes and he like called so quickly on the flop, and he's going to think he's going to have gut shots, open enders, weak pairs. I think we just have to fire all 3 there at that point. I think if I check there and just allow him to show down like pocket 6s or something like that, or wherever the pocket pair was like a pair in a straight draw but didn't get there, and just give him a free showdown, don't think I'd do myself any favours. I think once we find the second barrel, the third barrel's, for me anyway, I think feels like it's a mandatory thing to do. And if the guy just wants to lump me up with like 2 7s or something, well, hallelujah, we stick a note on him that we're not to bluff him in future, and we just change our strategy to just always value betting and just literally never bluffing the guy. We still fight a c-bet against him, but we won't be looking to ever make him fold anything even close to good. It's a very simple adjustment to make. All it does, it just requires discipline. It doesn't require anything else, just discipline. So we're coming to the 45-minute mark, and the tables aren't that great, but I really have enjoyed making the video again. Pretty sure I've lost money, but whatever. The king's getting great. When you get your kings cracked at your highest buy-in table in a 45-minute video, you're going to find it hard to make that back. So yeah, I don't like making videos where I don't win money. But at the same time, I'm not the sort of guy who just limp the button. I just make the videos and they are what they are. If I win, I win. If I lose, I lose. I'm not one that makes like 8 million videos and waits to like display a really good one. I'm just not that arsed. Here's what it is. I've had a losing session. whatever. So yeah, I think we'll leave it now. We just ticked on nicely to the 45 minutes. So I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Hope you've enjoyed seeing something different. I hope some new guys have found the video. I'm going to post this in a few different places. And if you've liked it, please let me know. If you haven't liked it, again, please let me know. But at least try and be polite. So there we go. Thanks for watching, everybody. And until next time, take care. Bye bye for now.